is morning for me anyway. I don't know what time of day you're watching this, but today is meal prep Monday. Something I've been doing lately just to help me get prepared for the week and prepping a whole bunch of homemade from scratch food. So we're doing a lot of homemade baked stuff from scratch, and then we're also doing some cooking. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's cook and let's bake together and get ready for the week, because I'm trying to cut down on some kitchen time when it comes from making homemade meals from scratch, because it does take a long time. So last night I was smart and I did a whole bunch of prepping ahead of time. So I have a whole bunch of doughs back here and one in the fridge. So we're doing a lot of sourdough stuff. So today on the menu for making things from scratch, I'm doing donuts, but they're not sourdough, they're just regular donuts, because the kids and everyone has been asking for donuts. So we're gonna do those. I'm gonna make a sourdough sandwich loaf, 2 of those. I'm gonna make 2 different kinds of bagels, plain and raspberry. And then we have sourdough pizza dough in there as well as make dinner. We're gonna try to do Crunchwraps. So there's like a lot on the menu today. So it's just a full day in the kitchen, which will mean I don't have to come back in the kitchen for at least a few days, is usually the hope. But yeah, that's usually how I do things. Do one big meal prep day and then stay out of the kitchen for the most part for like the next day or so. So you could do it for like all week long, but I'm not gonna do that. But these baked goods will last us like all week, if not some next week. But first we're gonna start with some coffee and then get to rolling and shaping out all of the doughs, because when you're working with dough, it does take a long time. I need to grind some more coffee. Oh my goodness. Okay, so while I do all this, I'm going to be listening to my Street Lights Bible, audio Bible. I really enjoy that. And then I'm going to line my loaf pans with parchment paper so I can easily pull the sourdough sandwich bread out. And the one I use is, if you care, this is parchment baking sheets. They're already pre-cut, which I love, and they are not bleached and don't have any chemicals. So I love these. I just get them at my local grocery store, and they were actually pretty affordable too. So they're chlorine free, bleach free, all the good stuff. So be careful what parchment paper you're buying. You don't want to buy the normal white one. So I'm going to cut this so I can pull those out easily, and then shape it, let it proof, and then shape bagels and yada yada. I'm starting out by shaping my sourdough pizza dough. This way it will rise and then I can freeze it. This makes it so easy and simple for meals just in a pinch, and I don't feel like cooking something, or maybe the kids will not eat what the adults are eating that night, because that still happens. My kids can be picky sometimes and they're still young, so I kind of just allow it. Anyway, so I'm gonna roll it and then put it in a oiled pan. I usually use olive oil, let it rise for a few hours, and then I will get it in the freezer. I like to individually, I'll show you guys in a little bit, but I like to individually wrap each one. That way I don't have to thaw out all of them at one time. I could just pull them out as needed And yeah, so these are really nice to have on hand for easy meals for the kids because they love the sourdough pizza dough. They just love pizza in general. It just makes mama's life a little bit easier when it comes to meal prepping. So this will last us a few weeks and you can freeze it for a few months. So this freezes really well. So I love to do that. So I'm just gonna oil the pans and then let it sit like in a warm place for a few hours until it doubles almost in size. So it is 2 o'clock. It's become increasingly difficult to get things done around here. It's like dim light. I hope you guys don't mind. Still have my candle burning, but I think I'm going to feed them a snack. I add breakfast. When you spend all day in the kitchen, the kids get restless at some point and they just need you. So I already took a little mom break and I had like breakfast and stuff like that, but I think I'm gonna continue on the break. I think those loaves are ready to be thrown in the oven. I still haven't shaped the bagels, so I'm gonna do that as well as start the donut dough. Just so much going on in the kitchen today, but we're doing it. It just, everything takes longer when you have kids. So you wanna help mama? You do? Oh, okay. Okay. I think the sourdough pizza dough has risen really well, and look at these loaves. They have risen really well too. So that I think is about ready to go into the oven. Mama. And look at this one. Look at this big boy. Like, oh, it's gonna be so over the pan, but still really good. So I'm about to preheat the oven, throw these in the oven while the oven is warm, make that donut dough so it could sit on the warm stove. And I really need to shape those bagels too. And then we need to start dinner. So we are a little bit behind schedule. Your girl slept in today and that's real life. I already let my loaves, my sandwich bread loaves, proof for like maybe 2 hours, and now I'm going to egg wash them and then throw them in the oven. I have been absolutely loving this recipe for sourdough sandwich loaf bread. It is so simple and a really good way to get acquainted with sourdough if you don't like an artisan loaf. Maybe it's just not the right texture that you want for your sandwiches or whatever. The sandwich bread loaf, I'll leave the recipe down below. It is from Farmhouse on Boone, but I've been playing with this recipe a lot and now making it my own. But this one that I'm making here is her recipe, so I will leave it down below. And she also has a really good video on how she makes it. And I must say the texture is really nice. It's very soft. It's not too sour. If you wanted it a little less sour, you can add a half a cup instead of a whole cup for that loaf. And then I just put it in the oven at 375 for about like 45 minutes and then let it get golden brown, and so good. I'm obsessed with this bread. I'm drinking homemade kombucha, which is really good. I cut out some strips. Oh, the heater is about to go on again. I cut out some strips out of parchment paper, and my sourdough pizza dough has now risen. She is beautiful. And I'm going to wrap it up, put it in one of these, wrap it in one of these, and then put it in a freezer bag, and then put it in the freezer. This way it stops the fermenting process so it won't be super sour. And then all I gotta do is pull it out, let it thaw, shape it, and then bake with it. So I can make pizza at any time, really. My kids love pizza, so this is what I do to help meal prep for them. So I always have an easy meal ready to go for them. It's not hard, you just have to let it unthaw ahead of time. So you need like a little, like an hour or so, hour or two to let it thaw, and then that's it. And then you know you have a pretty decent meal for them. I just add sauce, cheese, and there you go, easy pizza. Even for us, we can use it. So I just wrap it like this. So I just put the dough and then just wrap it. And this way you can pull out individual doughs and you don't have to pull out a whole bunch of dough at one time if you don't want to. Because a lot of the time when the kids want pizza, maybe we don't want pizza and we're cooking something else for the adults. So it just makes it easy. If the kids don't like what I'm cooking for whatever reason, because they're still kids, they're still picky, this way they have a easy meal that I can always turn to, and I don't have to do fast food or anything like that. So I just roll it like that, place it in my bag, and then freeze the whole bag. It's really simple, and I've been doing this for a while. Just a really good, easy way to have a meal on standby for the kids that I know that they'll eat. It's not the healthiest, obviously pizza is not the healthiest, but it's good enough. It's homemade, so I'm not really worried about that. And then I just buy organic pizza sauce. I want to start making my own pizza sauce at one point too. Have yet to really do that because I don't have a blender. Anyways, so I'm just gonna continue doing this and storing this away. Okay, so I have plain bagel dough, raspberry bagel dough, and now I'm going to shape these and then let them do their second rise, and then we will do a water bath and then bake them. Moving on to shaping our bagels, I have two different bagels here, plain sourdough bagels, and then we have sourdough raspberry bagels. They both turned out really good. I always make the plain ones, and lately I've been playing with a lot of flavors. Recently we did jalapeno cheddar, and that was really good. My husband requested that and he loved it. Super simple. You just do the plain recipe and then you add whatever flavors you want. Once you get the rhythm down of making bagels, it's super simple in our normal every week routine. For the most part, my kids love them. They'll eat them plain with butter or with some kind of jam or jelly. And the raspberry ones were really, really good too. So I thought that was a little bit of a fun flavor that we haven't done yet. And I was definitely pleased with them and they were good. Blueberry is good too, of course. Who doesn't love a good blueberry bagel? I have a whole video on bagels, sourdough bagels, if you wanted to check that out. I'll try to remember to leave that down below. Our beautiful sourdough loaf bread is golden brown and ready and beautiful. So I let that cool and then I cut it.
Oh, like this loaf.
Yeah, she will. So I pulled the loaves out. They look beautiful. I'm gonna let those proof and those proof.
Yummy.
And then we'll bake them in a little bit. We have to give them a water bath. And then we're gonna start on the donut dough.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, just so good with just butter, with a sandwich, with so many different things. You could do garlic bread, just endless options with this sandwich sourdough bread. Okay, stay over there.
Let me help.
There you go.
No,
Our bagels are done proofing. I let them proof for a few hours and then I'm throwing them in a hot water bath, I'm boiling them for about 1 to 2 minutes. I add sugar as well. This way it just gives the bagels a nice glisten. They don't stick to anything. And then I bake them at 350 for about maybe 30 minutes. And now we're on to something fun, doing donuts. That sounds weird. We are on to something fun. We're making donuts, and they're not sourdough donuts. They are just regular yeast donuts, just wild yeast. And the kids have been requesting these for a long time because they love donuts. So I figured, why not make them ourselves? We'll know exactly what's in them, and we'll add this to our recipes. We'll add this to our recipe lineup. And it's really simple. I followed the Preppy Kitchen recipe. I love his videos. He makes really good treats, and yeah, it was just easy to make, honestly. It was super fun. And I'm not really going to talk you through it because it's just a lot to talk, but you could check out his video because his video goes in full depth on how to make a good soft donut. So we had a lot of fun with this, and I love recipe testing with you guys. I, for the most part, always test my recipes out before filming them or whatever the case is, so I can give feedback, change things if I need to. But really there's nothing that I would change with this recipe. I would have made them maybe a little thicker than what I did, but overall they turned out so good and they were an absolute hit. And they were just good. I can't wait to make these again. So the kids devoured them way too quickly, I must say. And the whole family just enjoyed them. So they were great. And you know, they are a labor of love. I will say that. It took me a while to knead this dough right here. It was a little bit of a stiffer dough, if you would say so, but it didn't pass the window pane test yet. So I had to keep kneading for another like 10 minutes. Because it was just too much dough for my stand mixer, which is fine. I let it sit for about an hour or so, let it proof, rise, double in size, cut it out with my biscuit cutters. And I didn't have one for the middle because you know donuts are supposed to have like, you know, a hole in the middle. So I just used this cap from this apple juice and that worked really well. My son was like really fascinated about this. He was like not sure at first. He had doubts about it, but he was really impressed in the end how that worked out. Sometimes you just have to use what you have, and it doesn't have to be fancy. I've seen people even use like mason jars as like the original circle of the donut. So you just got to use what you have, and it works really well in pinch situations. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. We did decide to go ahead and do some heart-shaped donuts since Valentine's Day is coming up really soon. And then we wanted to do some jelly-filled donuts. I thought that would be really fun. So we did that too. And that was a really nice little treat as well. A lot of the time when we do baked goods, we give them away to loved ones or people that, you know, we're just close with, or friends at the grocery store or whatever, because we bake a lot here and we just don't need to eat all of that. But it's really fun to give to other people and, you know, just give someone else a little lift up if they're having a bad day. You never know. Just homemade treats are really fun to gift to anybody. So yes, these were absolutely fun to make and really good. So I highly recommend to check out this recipe. While we were letting our donuts proof, we went ahead and opened our Love Every box. So thank you, Love Every, for sponsoring today's video. The kids are so excited. I would let the audio play, but it's just screaming because they're just so excited for every Love Every box that they open. If you don't know about Love Every, it is a Montessori child learning based toy subscription. You don't have to do the subscription, but I really like that they have that option. They have it tailored for every single age and milestone that your child is at, which is really nice. Lots of different ages, something for every little kid. They have great books and stories. We love their stories and read them often. And their toys are just so fun and creative, and my kids have tons of fun with them. We are also a homeschool family, so a lot of their toys are really nice and educational that can go alongside our homeschool curriculum and are just really helpful. So I really highly recommend checking Love Every out. I will leave their description down below. They also have individual toys, so if you didn't want to do like a play kit, they have many different cool things that come in the play kits. You can see it online, but I highly recommend to check them out. They are great. So I will leave that down below. And thank you, Love Every, for sponsoring today's video. All right, so back to our donuts. They are proofed. They are ready to go in that hot oil. I did use vegetable oil. I'm not a huge fan of vegetable oil. You shouldn't really cook with vegetable oil, canola oil, Crisco, any of that. But I mean, we're doing donuts, so it's like they're already not good for you as is, and coconut oil is crazy expensive right now and does not come with a whole lot unless you know, buy in bulk. So I usually cook with coconut oil or olive oil, but for this I did use vegetable oil and it worked really well. But next time I probably will use coconut oil just because, you know, just to make it just a little bit healthier. Like, I know donuts are not healthy for you at all, but you know, just to cut some of the bad stuff out. So I just fried them for a few minutes on each side. I did it on medium heat. You want to make sure it's definitely not too hot because they will fry up way too quickly, okay? Just trust me, because with these donut holes, I actually did them first and I had the oil a little bit too high. They were still good though, but Definitely make sure you are monitoring the oil because it can get hot really quick. So you just want to make sure that it's on like a medium heat and not like medium high. I think I had it like on the higher range. I can't remember, but yes, they are getting golden brown like a little quicker than I would like, but they still were amazing and really good too. So just put it on a lower heat. And then next up, I have the little hearts, or should I say the big hearts. They were so big and fluffy and so delicious with the jelly and powdered sugar. I did a few in glaze too, and that was really nice. So these took a little bit longer to cook, but they were so good and just really fun and a little bit festive, you know, since we decided to do the whole Valentine's Day thing. Well, I mean, you could have heart donuts like really for any occasion, right? Now it's time to glaze them. I did a really simple glaze, powdered sugar, milk, and vanilla. So very simple. I'll leave the exact measurements down below, or I'll just refer you to Preppy Kitchen's video again, because he does such a good job just explaining it all and really going over like the technique and ins and outs of it. But I really enjoyed these donuts, to say the least. So they were great. After we made our donuts, we were finally moving on to dinner. I definitely got a little bit of a late start for dinner because, you know, we were doing all this stuff in the kitchen. So a little bit of grace and it was okay. So I wanted to try my hand at Crunchwraps. Crunchwraps, if you don't know, are a Taco Bell staple. I used to be obsessed with Taco Bell. So if you're an OG or a friend of mine in real life, you know, growing up and in high school and stuff, especially when I was pregnant, I was obsessed with Taco Bell and I had to try Crunchwraps. Like, honestly, I didn't do an actual recipe for them. I'll leave my homemade tortilla recipe down below. They're flour tortillas and they are really good, soft, and honestly, we use this recipe all the time. They're very simple to make. I think it's like 4 ingredients. Not a lot of fuss. They are a little bit time consuming because you have to, you know, make the dough, let it rest for like 30 minutes to an hour, and then section it off, roll them up, and then roll them out, and then put them on the cast iron. So it does take a little bit of time, but we enjoy these tortillas so much. And since I've been making our own tortillas, since I learned how to, I have never bought store tortillas ever since because they just taste so much better. The texture is a lot better. You can make them as thin or as thick as you like. I like them a little bit thicker, but my family overall likes them a little bit thinner. So I didn't use a recipe for the Crunchwraps. I just did grass-fed ground beef. I did corn, pinto beans, diced tomatoes, and some jalapenos, and then I put a little bit of the jalapeno juice that they were sitting in. They were like jarred jalapenos. So good. I don't know, I just been so into spicy lately, and that was really, they were amazing. This recipe was was very simple but really good. I've seen a few Crunchwrap videos and I didn't go with any recipe. I just decided to just throw what I thought would be good together because I wanted it to have more than what these people were showing in their videos. So I just decided to do this and I absolutely did not regret it. Oh, I did taco seasoning too, which was a really nice add a flavor. So after I made the tortillas, then I just assembled the Crunchwraps and that was really it for that. So they were delicious. However, I will say that putting them together, like getting them to stay together, was a little bit of a challenge to make them all stay together. I bought the tostadas and spinach. I didn't make the tostadas, I just bought those because I was not gonna fry something else this night. But yeah, getting them to stay together was a little bit hard. I ended up doing cheese. I would recommend to put something heavy on them face down first, but I did cheese around the folds of the Crunchwrap and eventually it did work, and it doesn't really matter if it looks pretty or not. It does not have to look pretty. They tasted amazing and I would make these again for sure. So highly recommend. So it has been a very long day in the kitchen. Lots of things happening, lots of prepping. I'm just gonna bottle up some kombucha and call it a night. The kids are in bed. Dee put them to bed. It's just been a long day. These are my scobies, by the way. They look super gross, but they make really good kombucha, so I love them so much. So yeah, I'm just gonna do that. The flavor I'm gonna do is apple, just simple apple. I'm gonna use apple juice, no fresh anything. We're not gonna do any fresh fruits or anything fancy in it this time. I just wanna get it done, and then I have my new batch of tea for my next batch of kombucha already on the stove. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Yeah, I hope this gave you guys some motivation to do some meal prepping so it makes your life a little easier, whether you're a stay-at-home mom or homemaker slash wife, or maybe just for yourself, girl. And if you're a working mom, then meal prepping, taking a day when you have the time, is something that's really nice to make your life a lot easier when you come home from work. So anyways, I will see you guys in the next one, and I hope you enjoyed watching, because this video I feel like is gonna be a long one. Maybe not that long. I try to keep the clips kind of minimal when filming, so I didn't have like an hour and a half of footage. We'll see how good of a job I did with that though. Anyways, see you guys in the next one. Bye.